Hi, this is Dr. Mike Yuen. I'm pleased to be sharing with you this audio recording of a conversation that took place between me and fourth generation Yin Fu Bagua Tran Grandmaster Gong Bao Zhai in the late 1990s in Taipei, Taiwan. He was in his 90s at the time. I was in my late 30s. Since the age of 21, I'd been traveling from the U.S. to visit him annually to study Bagua Tran. In the recording, Gong Bao Zhai discloses that most of what he learned of Bagua Tran in his 37 years of living in the family village was not from Gong Bao Tian, but came primarily from Gong Bao Tian's wife and daughter. As a result of learning from both of them, he ended up receiving two separate transmissions, two interpretations of the Bagua Tran system. Of his learning experience with his teacher, Gong Bao Tian, who was more than 50 years his senior, he recounted being a schoolboy climbing over the wall of his family compound after homework and bedtime, and making his way to Gong Bao Tian's house to gather with the village's senior students. There, he said, Gong Bao Tian would conduct in-depth discussion of the system's methods and principles. We would mostly listen, he said. At these private meetings with Gong Bao Tian, we didn't do a lot of physical training, but when we did, it was all out. One of the highlights of his discipleship, Gong Bao Zhai recounted, was when the older Gong Bao Tian, then in his latter years, called him in for a private talk. It was then that he imparted to him the ultimate teaching, which Yin Fu had given to Gong Bao Tian, insight into the correlation between martial arts and the deep human mysteries. Alternate names for 8 trigrams boxing were given to him at the time, names such as Xuan Chuan, mysterious transmission, and Shengren Zhilu, way of the Shengren, or universal human. Universal human was the most highly attained spiritual leader in Chinese history. Of Neo-Confucianism that led Chinese culture for 700 years from 1200 AD on, there was the Sanjia 3 schools, led by the San Sheng, the 3 sage kings, if you will. Confucius, representing Confucianism, Lao Tzu, representing Taoism, and Huineng, representing Buddhism. Bagua Tran, as the Di Si Da Men Pai, 4th great school of martial arts, was therefore not just a fighting art, but a human development training platform that fosters in people a connection with the roots of ancient civilization. That Gong Bao Zhai was raised from age 6 by Gong Bao Tian's family is another significant factor. The trust and familiarity gained as a family member through the years, it seems, would have lent to Gong Bao Zhai's ability to grasp the profound architecture of the system that across the decades the women had imparted to him in meticulous detail. Based on assessment of the Bagua Tran system after Gong Bao Zhai had transmitted it to me, which I subsequently reorganized into advanced human training with help from modern science, psychology, and human potential, what still amazes me to this day is the profound grasp of Chinese science and medicine that Gong Bao Tian, as well as his wife and daughter, possessed. Gong Bao Zhai had said, Gong Bao Tian was barely literate, but there was nothing you could tell him that he didn't know about. Overall, this inquiry speaks to a special brand of intelligence and wisdom that, in terms of breadth and depth, was, in my experience, deeper in many ways than grasp of knowledge possessed by a modern-day Ph.D. The complete human blueprint of the human inner architecture that Gong Bao Zhai received as part of the women's explanation, if for no other reason, is valuable as a reminder to us of how much we have yet to understand about the human body and how it learns. How, as they taught, the learning paths for women and men were different while being complementary, and that the women and men of this small Chinese village mutually appreciated each other's strengths and learning processes. Well, here's the audio tape. Enjoy.
师傅说， 么跟保田师爷学到那么多东西？一个是因为师太跟
也就是我劝你以后你也记得，我也没搞过上海，你不能说是我是保田师爷的徒弟啊。不错，我是保田师爷的徒弟是不错，但是我不是完全跟保田师爷学的。保田师爷他没这么多东西教给我。
怎么没有这么多东西教给师傅？
他有他也不能教，他也抽鸦片，抽大烟他也顾不得教。他老了8、9、10岁他顾不得教，完全是他的太太和他女儿。
他们怎么对师傅有那么好的心意？心意对师傅怎么那么好？那个师太跟女儿，
我们家了完全就养活他，他对我们不好吗？
你们家？
他嫁了15口人，他太太，他2个女儿，还有2个儿子，3个儿子，
这是
他嫁这多少人？他不吃饭吗？
师傅的家人啊，师傅爸爸
啊，他是个爸爸，他不吃饭吗？
这是养活他们。
他完全是我们，不是完全我们，就是他这几个徒弟养活。